What is synchronicity? I really don't understand it, and it drives me bonkers. Is it a mystical deja vu? Is it a future sight? Or is it a schizoid, crazy person tendency? You tell me, unless it's the last one. Like thinking of an old friend and seeing him the next day, or maybe you're researching your family name's history, and then all of a sudden you see all of its themes and use in the next movie you see. Do any of these sort of experiences ever happen to you? This video is supposed to be my first entry into an ongoing series of past synchronicity events, synchros as I call them, and other real-time occurrences of them. And I count synchros as just beyond seeing the same repetitive numbers every day, like, oh, I saw 11, 11, 11 today. I would need it to be a multi-layered synchronicity phenomenon to be more potent than that. Not to discount anyone, but I think you need to be a certain classification of crazy person if you want to hang with us. So, and if you have any more questions on this phenomenon, I highly recommend the work by Christopher Loring Knowles and, of course, Carl Jung for more information on this. So this is a fresh synchronicity that just occurred a week prior to the recording of this video. My wife and I got tickets to Sierra Farrell. She's a bluegrass country artist, and we just saw her last Wednesday, August 21st, here in Houston. I've enjoyed her for the last few years. I only found her through the YouTube channel Bright Insight. Jimmy, I followed his Instagram, and he posted a random picture of him at her concert, and that's how I found her. It was like a year and a half ago maybe or something, or 2 years ago. And so on the way to this concert, I had this peculiar daydream where I envisioned her coming out, and I was thinking about the stresses of just touring all the time and having to sing and perform very routinely night after night. And I had this sort of daydream where she was explaining or excusing her voice for that evening, and basically she was saying that she was going to be sounding like Janis Joplin, or that she'd be doing her Janis Joplin number or something along those lines. Just remember that little tidbit for later. So later that evening, after the opener opens and finishes, Sierra is about 2 songs into her set. I turn to my wife and I say, I'm thinking of this old song, one of her older songs, not from a recent album, and I say, I think this particular song, if she plays it, it'll be like perfect for a True Detective show opener.
But you went back to Rosemary. You went up on the hillside, way back in the mountains, where Rosemary she waits for you. Where Rosemary she waits for you.
The HBO show, which is, I've documented my interest on this show heavily on this YouTube channel, so check back my older videos for any of that stuff. But the very next song that she plays is the song that I was thinking of, is the song Rosemary. It was very True Detective, gothic noir, southern gothic vibe to it, and so it's perfect, and literally, it's funny that the song that I'm thinking of is the very next one she plays. Yeah, actually, if you go look at the YouTube video of the song, I had left a comment 7 months back repeating the same sentiment. Maybe she dodged a bullet with season 4, but we can get her back on there when Pizzolatto is back at the helm and I'm in the eagle's nest. But anyways, only a song or 2 later, Sierra says that the next song they're about to play is dedicated to traveling on the road, and the next song they play is Bobby McGee by Janis Joplin. And so it's almost like my own thoughts were made manifest just prior. And I have to relate it to this sort of phenomenon of, usually it's like a stray, intrusive thought. They seem to just sort of come out of nowhere in a sense, when like your mind is wandering. And was it just prescience and a premonition, a stray beam of information from the future being received from my crystal conscience antennae? If we stick with some of our other research on this YouTube channel, we dive heavily into Shakespeare. And a motif we touch on a lot here is, outside the off-script question, is words, etymology, narrative, and magic. After relaying the story to Chance, he called it foreshadow. I think it's a fantastic encapsulation of the synchronicity phenomenon. And he also pointed out the word foreshadow is a sort of bizarre word in of itself, which we should touch on at a later date. We could also call all of this onset schizophrenia. And jokes aside, these occurrences are happening more frequently, it seems, or I could definitely say that there is a definite pressing of the gas pedal at particular dates. And I try to jot down the potent ones as diligently as I can. Videocasting this light out to see what others make of it, and if they have experiences they'd also like to share. I have plenty more to share, wheels within wheels, cells within cells, from this video alone, to tangent off from. Some, like the True Detective connections, are reoccurring motifs that you can find in our Shakespeare authorship research too. Both of these have a nexus of uncanny personal coincidences. And I like to bring it all back to my favorite Shakespeare researcher, Alan Green, who he describes himself being brought into this scene through synchronicities. And I can't help but wonder if there's a sort of gravitational orbit that you can get sucked into with certain authors, writers, archetypes perhaps even, etc. Let me know what you think. If this video triggered any synchronicities for you, make sure you take your psych meds if prescribed. And as always, nullius in verba.